Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something that hits close to home for a lot of us in pen testing, that constant urge to collect more and more tools. We're going to break down how to build a smarter, no-fluff toolkit that helps you stop being a collector and start being a real, effective operator. I mean, this just hits home, right? The source for today's explainer kicks off with this line, and it's perfect. It's that feeling, that magnetic pull to grab every new shiny tool that drops, thinking, hey, more options means I'm more prepared. But as we're about to see, that can be a huge trap. And bam, here's the punchline from the author. Almost a full hour wasted on a supposedly perfect setup that found absolutely nothing. This is that moment of truth, where you've got all the latest and greatest tools, but when the clock's ticking on an engagement, it all just adds up to a big, fat zero. This one experience is what kicks off a whole new way of thinking about our toolkits. So, this whole experience leads us right into our first big idea, what we're calling the perfect stack trap. It's this belief that a bigger, more complex toolkit is always going to be better. But the reality is, when you're under pressure, that complexity can actually become your worst enemy. So the author shares this story, right? And it's one of those oh no moments. They had a brand new VM, all the shiny tools ready to go, but then the client's network starts throttling everything. Scans are dragging, dashboards are frozen. It's a mess. So what actually worked? Going back to the absolute basics. A simple notes file and one manual check found a clean, easy-to-explain misconfiguration in just 15 minutes. And that failure? It turned into a really crucial lesson, which is the core of this whole thing, the no-fluff philosophy. It's all about shifting your focus away from just collecting tools and towards actually delivering results. And this is a wild one, right? It's totally counterintuitive, but man, is it powerful. When things get tough, our first instinct is to throw more tools at the problem. But the operator mindset says, no, do the opposite. You fall back on your core, reliable tools, the ones you know inside and out, the ones that just work when the environment is messy and your brain is tired. So let's break this down, because it really boils down to two totally different mindsets. You've got the tool collector, who's all about the hype, adding tools just in case. Then you have the working operator. They're obsessed with results. They're asking, which tool gets me to a clean, explainable finding the fastest? It's a huge shift from just having everything to actually delivering impact. All right, so if that's the goal, how do we actually build that operator stack? Well, we start with a solid, non-negotiable foundation. These are the first 5 tools you should install, you should master, and you should be able to rely on no matter what. So here it is, the Tier 1 core stack. You got your OS, a scanner, a proxy, a packet tool, and a place to take notes. Simple. The goal here isn't perfection, it's all about repeatability. Could you use these 5 tools to produce clear evidence? And more importantly, could you do it again tomorrow, from scratch in under 20 minutes? That's the real test. And honestly, this is the thing to burn into your brain. Knowing a few tools deeply is so much more valuable than knowing 100 of them just a little bit. A consistent process with these boring tools will save you hours and hours of headache when it's time to actually write the report. Okay, so once that foundation is rock solid, then you can start adding more tools. But, and this is a big but, you gotta do it wisely. The rule is you only add a new category of tools when the scope of your engagement actually demands it. Let's see how this works for a few key areas. When it comes to web apps, the thinking here is less scanner plus hope and more proxy plus discipline. Burp Suite is your main workbench, right? Where you inspect all the traffic. Then you bring in focus tools like FUF for finding hidden files, or SQL Map to validate SQL injection. The whole point is to run small, controlled tests that give you clean, undeniable evidence. Now, when you're on an internal network, especially with Active Directory, the game completely changes. It's all about identity. Tools like Bloodhound are amazing for this. They visualize who can access what and turn a complex mess into a clear map of attack paths. Then you'll use stuff from the mPacket suite to mess with network protocols and crack MapAcks to safely check credentials across a bunch of machines. And for the modern stuff, cloud, containers, man, guesswork is going to get you absolutely nowhere. You need clarity. That's where tools like Prowler for AWS checks, Trivy for scanning container images, and KubeBench for Kubernetes come in. They answer very specific questions, and a clear report from one of these can save you hours of just fumbling around in the dark. Okay, let's be real for a second. What is the point of all this cool technical wizardry if your findings just die in a meeting? The final piece of your stack, and you could argue it's the most important, is your reporting workflow. I absolutely love this quote. It's just so painfully true, right? Your job isn't just to find cool stuff. It's to get that stuff fixed. And if you can't explain the risk and the fix in a way that the people holding the purse strings understand, then all your clever hacking was just a fun story for your friends. So how do you make sure your findings survive? It comes down to these 3 simple, non-negotiable steps. 1, capture your evidence the second you find it, with timestamps. 2, make your reproduction steps so simple a junior dev could follow them. And 3, most important, explain how to fix the problem in plain English. This is how you turn technical risk into business impact. All right, we've talked a lot about the philosophy, the tools, but none of that matters without action. So here's your simple, actionable next step you can do right after this. And look, we're not talking about a huge commitment here. All it takes is 15 minutes. That's it. Not a whole weekend, not a full day of setup, just 15 minutes to start building that muscle memory that turns tools into actual results. So here's the 15-minute habit. Super simple. Step 1, open up your 5 core tools. Step 2, create a basic notes template for capturing findings. Step 3, run 1 light discovery scan on a lab target you're allowed to test. And here's the key. Even if you find nothing, write it up. This simple loop is what separates the pros from the hobbyists. And that really leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Take a hard look at your own toolkit. Is it a museum full of tools you've collected but never really use? Or is it a clean, efficient workbench that's designed to produce real, impactful results? The choice is yours. Thanks for tuning in.